I want to tell you how coaching has changed my life and can change yours. By the end of this video, you're going to see something that every successful person that I know already understands, and you will too. I'm Dr. Paul Jenkins. I'm a professional psychologist, and I provide coaching to hundreds of clients on my membership site. Coaches need coaching. Let's start with the concept of self-help. It's really kind of a misnomer. I think it's a myth. Self-help? Really? Have you ever heard the phrase, pull yourself up by the bootstraps? This goes way back to some early history in this industry where people were sometimes told, hey, come on, pull it together. Pull yourself up by your bootstraps. I didn't even know what that meant. But in the old days, the boots had these straps on them. And the idea is you reach down and you grab hold of those straps and then just lift yourself up. Wait, what's wrong with this? Is this even possible? Think about it. The laws of physics defy that entire idea. It's a myth. You can't do it. Now let's talk about self-help for a minute. It might be exactly the same thing. First of all, I want to do a little disclaimer because this is the genre that I write in. I've got 3 books in the self-help genre. I read those books all the time, but it's a myth. See, people buy the books because they want to help themselves, right? Then why do they need the book? And who do they think wrote it? It's a lot of work to write a self-help book. And for my own, I poured all of my knowledge and experience into my book, Pathological Positivity. Why? So I could help you without being in the same room. So you could help yourself through the information and the assistance that I was providing through the book. See, it's not really even self-help. One of my clients years ago was sitting in my office and he was so discouraged because finally things in his life had gotten to the point where he needed some help. But he had been telling himself all along, I should be able to do this myself, right? So as we got into this conversation, I remember asking him, what else do you do by yourself? Anything? And he's like, thinking about it, trying to figure that out. Like getting dressed this morning. Did you do that all by yourself? He's like, of course I did, Dr. Paul. Really? Using what? Clothing that you made yourself? From fabrics that you had fabricated at the mill? From fibers that you had harvested? Do you realize how many people helped you to get dressed this morning? He rolled his eyes a little bit. He's kind of like, oh, yeah, okay, I get it. We are not isolated here. We need each other. And there's nothing that we really do by ourselves. So what does this have to do with coaching? We get inside of our own head and we can't see some of the head trash. I call it head trash. Sometimes I refer to it as stinking thinking. You with me? I don't see it inside of my own head. It's kind of like we're inside of a bottle. And there's instructions for getting out of our bottle, but they're printed on the label outside of the bottle. You can't see it from inside of your own head. We need coaches. We need inspired people to read the label to us. And then we take action based on the help that we're getting from outside the bottle. I'm going to share with you how this coaching has profoundly changed my life. But before I do that, would you just consider the person that came to your mind as we were having this conversation that you think should see this? See that share button right down there? Just click on that, send it over to them. They're going to thank you for helping to illuminate their label to them. So let me do just a little bit of personal disclosure here because it was a little over a year ago when I was feeling so burdened. I've made a big shift in my practice from traditional psychotherapy, where I hung out for the first part of my career, to positive psychology coaching, which is all I do now, besides hanging out with you folks here on YouTube. I got to a point where there was a lot of complexity and there were a lot of pieces that I was unfamiliar with in the business and marketing and sales and all of this stuff they never taught me in shrink school. And I realized I was feeling burdened. So I reached out to a coach. Her name's Jody Moore, and she had a program that she was offering called Business Minded. And I was thinking, yeah, I could probably use some of that because I'm not very business minded. So I signed up for Business Minded with Jody Moore. She was able to read my label to me. Coaching creates new opportunities through new possibilities. And the way this really works is that the possibilities present themselves to our mind. And I'm used to what I'm already thinking. So I just kind of roll with that until it's challenged. And some of my most brilliant coaches have helped me to come up with different alternatives, which I didn't even consider before. So there was a time about a year ago when I was feeling so burdened by my business. I'm a psychologist. I'm not used to running all of the business parts of it. And so that felt like a burden, and it was like just so hard. And this is the thinking that's going on in my mind. This is so hard. And what's hard about this, and all of that head trash. And then my coach says,
But what if it were easy? It could be easy, right?
Wait, what if it were easy? See, the new possibility, I hadn't even thought of it because my brain was so tied up in it. And I'm very, very much in my head a lot of times. I'm thinking, I've really got to figure this out. I don't know how I'm ever going to figure this out, how I can get to understand all of these things that I need to do. And then my coach says,
But everything is figure-outable, right? What if that's true? Everything's figure-outable.
Really? What if it's all figure-outable? See how that creates a new possibility for me. But then my brain knows that it's right about what I'm already thinking. So I just really need to clarify so that she understands. No, the way this is, listen, just listen. Here's what's going on. You've got to understand that this is really extraordinary. And I tell my whole story to her, and then she says,
Listen, these are all just thoughts. And I know you have a lot of proof for your thoughts, and they all feel very valid and true, as do all of my thoughts. But the good news is they're still just thoughts.
And now I have a new possibility because I can't change all of my circumstances, but I can change my thoughts. Besides clearing up some of my head trash, coaching has created for me a sense of accountability. It's like it installs accountability into my thinking and into my life. When I'm talking with my coaches, including Jody, who helped me to get out of my head trash and helped me to set my next goals, sharing that goal with my coach puts a level of accountability that isn't there when I tell myself I'm going to do something. Have you had this experience before that you tell yourself you're going to do something, and then secretly, kind of in the back of your mind, you're looking for the back door, just in case you don't. You're not going to be fully accountable to yourself. We all do it. It's not that you're bad. I think it's just that we're human. Welcome to Earth. That's kind of how our brain works. It's looking for an escape from the hard stuff. Having a coach in place can help to hold you accountable to keep the promises you've already made to yourself. It's a powerful way to move forward with your goals. I still remember a client that was meeting with me, young mom. She had 3 little kids. Dad was working a lot of hours, so he wasn't around to help much, and she was going through some depression. Well, if you're a mom, it takes a lot to keep everything in place. And this depression that she was going through really needed some exercise, okay? The clinical research shows us that exercise beats medication in most of the clinical trials. So I said to her, you really need to start exercising. She rolled her eyes a little bit as she looked back at me and said, I know. See, she had already told herself that she needs to do that. Having me on board as a coach gave her an opportunity to be more accountable. Actually, manipulated her thinking a little bit. Sometimes we do that as coaches. And I said to her, get out your checkbook. Well, she's a little nervous at that point, but she gets it out. She trusts me as her coach. I said, in just a moment, I'm going to ask you to give me a check. Write me a check for $1,000. $1,000? That's like my grocery budget for 2 months. Just trust me. So she writes out the check. And I said, when you give me this check, I promise I'll hold it for you. I'm just going to hold it. I've got a little drawer right over here where I'll hold it for you until our next appointment in 3 weeks. You're going to make a promise to yourself. What's your promise to yourself? Well, she knew exactly where this was going. She said, I'm going to exercise 3 times a week for at least a half hour. Awesome. I'll trust you to keep your promise to yourself. I'll hold your check. When you come back in 3 weeks, you're going to report on how you did. Okay, this is the accountability piece. It's the honor system. I'm not checking up on you. Just come back and report. If you kept your promise to yourself, I'll take that check out of my drawer, give it back to you. You can do whatever you want to with it. If you haven't kept your promise to yourself, I promise you, cross my heart, that I will cash your check and use it however I choose. It was so interesting because she got a smile on her face. She suddenly knew, see, something changed in her mind. She suddenly knew that she was going to keep her promise to herself. She had intended to do it all along, but the coaching gave her a level of accountability that she didn't have before. Powerful. I've got a special gift for you, a free coaching consultation. You'll see the URL right here on the screen, drpauljenkins.com/coaching, where you can get a free consultation with a member of my team to see if that coaching is right for you.